Okay. I know I'm supposed to be maximizing and optimizing my Amazon keywords to make sure my books are more visible, but it's so much extra work, right? How do I do this? Well, today I'm going to be showing you the process I finally took to optimize my keywords. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and independent publisher. I love sharing my insights about all things self publishing with you. Before I get into the details about today's topic, don't forget to hit subscribe. That way, you'll be notified when I put out new videos every week about self publishing, making a career out of being an author, and now being a mompreneur. So, I'm going to share a story first about what updating categories has actually done because I know a lot of people out there are obviously giving this advice for Amazon. And for me, for years, I was just like, there's so much to do. There's so much to write the next book and to market the current books and to go through and find these categories and send it in. Is it really going to help? Is it really going to do anything? Come on, let's get real here, about just timing. And now that I'm a full-time author, I was like, oh, I'm finally gonna have time to do the categories thing. It took me a little while to finally get to it. So I'm actually going to give you an example of what has actually worked for me so that way you can see that this does work, and I do think it is worth the time. Invest a couple of hours during your next work session to just get this done. So back in 2017, I put out Enemies of Peace. It's a standalone book. I got a lot of pickup in 2018 as it was mentioned on several big podcasts with the exact audience that I wanted to reach. But as I put out new books and focused on those, the sales here definitely did lag. No surprise. So I sent in new categories for Enemies of Peace on April 16th. They were updated right away, which was really great. So Amazon got back to me, but they did say it could take a few days for it to update in the system. So on April 23rd and 24th, I sold copies. Yay! I usually still sell a couple copies a month of this book, but usually most of my sales are from my latest books. So on April 25th, I saw this book was ranked number 47 in the top 50 in one of the new categories I picked for it, Absurdist Fiction. Now, this category absolutely makes sense for this book. I originally wrote it as a completely zany, absurd satire. Then I scaled it back a bit. So while it has a domestic thriller vibe, it was definitely written in the style of a Chuck Pahlanuik satire. So when I put this book out in 2017, I didn't even know that the absurdist fiction category existed. Imagine if I had selected it back then. It might have taken off sooner, maybe? I don't know. But the point is that this definitely backlist older book that was slow on sales got a couple sales, and because it was in the right category, finally, it did well in that category. So that leads me into how do you actually take the time to do this? So I can't go back in time, right? Even if I write amazing time travel fiction, I can't go back in time and neither can you. But you can still update your categories in Amazon for your existing backlist and then use this same method moving forward for your new books. So I'm going to go through the method that I use to find the categories, to track the ones that are currently in use and which ones are being requested, and how to put the request in for the change. So we're going to go through all of this about how to update your categories in Amazon in 2021. So first things first, I need to know what categories my book was currently in. So at one time or another, while I was working full time and trying to get my books to sell on the side, I went through and made some hasty category updates pretty haphazardly. Now, everybody knows when you upload to KDP, you get the option to pick two categories, but you actually are able to add up to 10 categories. I'm going to show you how to do that in this method. Now, I had no idea in the interim between when I published the book and when I finally went in to do this category audit, what requests I had made, when they had happened. It had just been so long. So I wanted to take a look first at the categories that appeared for each book. I looked at both the ebook and the print book pages because there are actually different categories within the Amazon bookstore for print and the Kindle bookstore for ebooks. So don't just assume that you can just change out one part of the keyword string and it's the same thing. It's not. So what I did is I created this Google spreadsheet of all the categories I could currently see. And then from there, as I saw on the ebook, then I was like, okay, well, let me look for the print. What do I currently have? So then I was able to have both the Kindle store and the print store pulled up. And once I was there, I could say, okay, well, these are my current categories. Now the category is the full string. So it's not just absurdist fiction. It's Kindle store, fiction. It's the full string going all the way through to get you down there. And you have to include that full string when you are submitting these requests. It can't just be like, oh, put me in absurdist fiction. It has to be the full for print, for ebook. Here's the exact categories, and I'll show you that when we get to that portion of it. So once I had the categories pulled up, I poked around to look at some of the others that I could see from that thread in the bookstore. So as you look on that left-hand side, you can actually see, or I guess left-hand side, you can see all the other categories. So then I clicked around to see, well, does that make sense for me? Does that make sense for my book? And then I just started to make the list of them up to 10. So I could say, hey, like I want to be in satire, I want to be in absurdist fiction. When it comes to, the infinite, as I'm going through redoing a lot of things for that book, I'm like, okay, I want to be in time travel saga, I want to be in multiverse, I want to be in alternate history. So kind of looking at all those different things to go all the way through. So I'm going in and adding this to my spreadsheet, and I have a total of 10 columns there. Now, some of the books I only found maybe 6 or 7 that I thought were a good fit. I know that I can get up to 10, but I didn't just want to jam my book into a keyword just for the sake of getting all 10 categories if I didn't think it belonged there. It doesn't help anybody. I've seen authors do this with like, oh, I have my bestseller ranking, and I'm like, this is a fiction book and it's ranking number 1 in real estate investment. The person who buys this book because it's number 1 rated in this category is not going to be happy when they read this book and it's this absurdist fiction and they're like, oh, this is not what I was looking for, 1-star review. It doesn't help anybody, so I don't suggest you just jamming in categories or keywords just for the sake of it. Make sure it makes sense for the sake of you and your reader. So once I had my list, I logged into my Amazon Author Central account, and they actually make it really easy where you can just navigate through to contact us, update book, and then they have categories specifically, and they give you a template for how they would like to see it. Follow their template. So I was easily able to say this book, this ISBN, because it was the ebook, because it was the print book. Here's all the categories I would like to be in. Thank you. It was very easy to do, and again, it took a couple hours just to sit down and do this and really go through and be thorough and say, what am I in? What do I want to be in? What am I in? What do I want to be in? Now, thankfully, I have several books that are, similar. So Nailbiters and Architects, I said, I pretty much want to be in the same categories for both because they're in a series. They need to be together. So that made it a bit easier for me to update those. I do plan on going back every couple of months and looking again, as I'm sure Amazon will continue to add new categories as reader preferences change and evolve. So I'm going to continue to be doing this, obviously, as I add new books. And I definitely suggest that if you haven't done this a while, you go back and do this. Amazon is always adding new categories because they're seeing what their customers want and what they're looking for. And if they can't easily find it, they want to give them a new category to search in so they can find it, so Amazon can make a sale and make money. Yes, it helps you make money, but Amazon is all about making money. So they are always going to be optimizing and updating those categories. So when was the last time that you actually took the time to do this and update your Amazon categories? It's a-okay if it's been a long time. It took me forever and a day, way longer than it should have. But is there anything else that you have been missing that you need to go back and do? Is there something that you do as part of your Amazon category updating process that I totally missed? Let me know. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. I hope you found this information helpful, and if you did so, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe. That way YouTube will know that this information is valuable and can get it in front of other authors like us. And now you can get back to writing your book. Hey, if you want to continue to support this channel and my other creative work, please head over to buymeacoffee.com and support my channel. You can buy me 1 coffee, 3, 5, 10, or you can even get a membership. Those who are in the membership are actually going to be included in the acknowledgements pages of all of my published books moving forward as a big thank you. And you can even get some additional options to get an Instagram thank you post shout out or a shout out in an upcoming video. Thank you so much for supporting this channel.